So let me just get my feet off the chair because otherwise I'm going to wobble the chair. Welcome to Lakora Yoga's flexibility workshop. So today we're going to look at the different kinds of flexibility, how to create more flexibility in your body, and just some things that you're going to need to know if flexibility is a goal of yours. If you have any questions at all during this, please leave me a comment. I will get back to you after the live video has ended because I know that the comments are delayed. So leave a comment and I will get back to them afterwards. So what are we going to look at today? We are going to be looking at the benefits of flexibility, why we need flexibility for yoga, different ways of gaining flexibility, understanding the different muscle groups. So really important one if flexibility is a goal of yours. Equipment that we can use, like in the picture with the strap helping us kind of reach back and grab our feet there. How to adapt the practice to suit your own personal needs. Everybody's different, right? Everybody's going to need different things in their body. How to use the breath to maximize your flexibility. How often we need to stretch. And right at the end, I'm going to give you 3 stretches that you should be doing every single day that's really going to maximize your flexibility. But why learn from me? If you don't know who I am, I have been practicing yoga for 10 years now. My name is Leah and I own Lakora Yoga. So I've been practicing for about 10 years and I've always had a much tighter body than most. Like when I went to my first yoga class, I could barely touch my shins. I was just useless. Obviously not useless at the actual yoga, like the mindset stuff, but the physical side, my body was just so tight. I was one of these kids that just hated physical exercise. I'd always have like an excuse to get out of PE, sometimes forged, mum's signature, anyone else do that? So that I didn't have to do PE. And I really found flexibility such a challenge that I started to kind of dedicate my time in finding out why and learning how to improve my body, because I was on Instagram, like you do, watching all these amazing yogis with these stretchy bodies, thinking I want to be like them. How do I get like that? So I started dedicating a little bit more time to find out why and how I can do it, and most of that is what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So I am a normal person. I am a wife. I am a mum of a 5-year-old. We have 2 cats, 2 tortoises, and 2 fish. And the tortoises have just woken up from hibernation, so I've got to go out and feed them in a bit. It's starting to warm up a little bit today, even though it's really windy. So yeah, they've woken up, and I don't have those in my video, but you will see in some of my classes, my cats and my daughter. Normally, if it's half term, especially if you're in my membership, you'll see my daughter every Friday morning jumping in and kind of, disturbing the whole thing. But it's fun, it's fine, it's normal, I'm a normal person, and this is what happens, right? And I'm sure that, I know that some of my members, they've got kids at home doing exactly the same thing. So I know I'm not alone on that. So I love online yoga, and this has mainly come from, well, first of all, it was actually because I felt really self-conscious. Going to a yoga class and knowing that I was one of the most inflexible there, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, was, I want to say embarrassing, but I've always been quite an anxious person. So, even just before going into the class, I'd be nervous, my body would be shaking a bit. It was just like one step away from a full-blown panic attack, really. And then, you get into the class and everyone could do these things and I couldn't do it. And I would freak out. I would love it. And afterwards I'd be like, oh, I'm so glad I did that. But bringing up the courage to actually go and do that was a real struggle for me. So having classes at my fingertips online was just so much better because, you can do it at home. It's not in front of anybody. They can't see you. They don't know what you're doing. You can do it in your pajamas. It's just so much better. So that was the main reason I started online. And then I had my daughter. And then even though then I was a little bit more confident, and actually just before I had her, I was going to a lot more classes, then that all stopped. So I got my confidence up, I started going to classes, and then it all had to stop because, I had this baby. I couldn't take a baby into a yoga class with me unless I was doing baby yoga. So, I couldn't do it. I had to do classes online. So it was the next best thing. And I love that it is so accessible for, you know, anybody to do wherever they are. You can also do shorter classes. So normally if you go to a yoga class, it's normally 60 minutes, 60 or 75 minutes. You don't normally go to a yoga class that's only 15 minutes, right? So when you are a busy parent, going online is perfect. You've got, you know, this choice, this massive choice of different classes that you can do. So I do have an online membership where we go live twice a week, and then you can get all the replays. I also create mini programs for improving on specific things. So right now I have a beginners program. I have a touch your toes program, which you'll hear about at the end of this, and a crow pose, so a little bit of arm balancing, for you to improve your yoga knowledge and mostly flexibility. So because I, as you've just heard my story, was a very inflexible person, I have dedicated a lot of time into finding out more about flexibility. So that's what I'm mostly focused on, is the physical side of yoga. So that's a little bit about me. Go on to the next one. Why do you need to gain flexibility? Now, this is a little bit of a trick question because you don't have to gain flexibility. There's not a definite, you know, everybody needs to gain flexibility and be flexible, but there are a lot of benefits to it. So if you can increase your flexibility, you know, I've got the list here. It increases your mobility, reduces aches and pains in the body. It can improve your circulation. If you imagine you're looser, things can kind of flow a little bit more, like increasing your energy flow. It can reduce risk of injury, because if you imagine you're not so stiff, you imagine a pencil and you chuck a pencil down, it could snap, but if it's like wobbly, like rubber, it's probably not going to snap, right? It can improve your posture, especially the pose that this girl's doing in the picture, their arms behind, opening the chest, really great for opening all of this top area, because most of us nowadays are hunched over phones and laptops. It can help reduce stress. That is a major one, because it gets everything moving. You have less kind of emotions and blockages in your body, which that goes a little bit more into the spiritual side of yoga. If you want to learn more about that, go check out the beginner's course. It can improve back pain, help with balance, and it can improve your physical performance. So if you imagine, if you're something like, if you do anything like running, hiking, maybe you even play golf or do martial arts, the more flexible you are, the easier that's going to become on your body. So there's so many benefits to yoga. So why do we need flexibility for yoga? So this is where we don't actually need it, but you do. It is going to be beneficial. As we said, all those reasons that we've just said in the last slide, you know, it's all things that we should want, right? We want to be healthier. We want to be, you know, improve our circulation, be more mobile. Flexibility comes with time. And the more we practice these poses, the more flexible we become. So when anybody first starts yoga, you can guarantee they're not, unless they're like a gymnast or do dance or something like that, they're not going to just come onto the yoga mat straight away, do the splits or wheel pose, you know? The reason that we do these is to open up the body, to let our energy flow. So if we are quite stiff, the energy isn't usually flowing so well, and this starts to create pain in the body, which doesn't do the mind any good. So this is why yoga is great for the mind, because once we can release some blockages, get things moving around, our mental health improves, because we can start thinking more clearly. We're not thinking about the pain in our body. We've got a flow of energy going around, increasing the blood circulation to our brain, which increases our mood. So it is great to improve our flexibility so that we can improve our physical body and in turn improve the mental body, because yoga is all about the mindset, and we can't calm the mind if energy is trapped. So what are the different ways to gain flexibility? I just realized my little picture is blocking the thing, isn't it? But I can't seem to move it. Sorry about that. I don't know how to stop me seeing me. Oh, well, it's okay, isn't it? Different ways to gain flexibility. We have got dynamic stretching. So dynamic stretching is more of the active kind of yoga. So when you see a sun salutation, inhale up, exhale down, inhale halfway. It's constant moving. This can include bouncing as well. So for things like the one that I normally see this in is butterfly, where you're sat with the soles of your feet together, knees wide, and you kind of bounce your knees up and down, right? Because what that's doing is every time you bounce down, it's like you're going a little bit deeper than what you naturally would, right? The bounce is helping your body open up a tiny bit more. So that's dynamic stretching. That is really important for yoga. I do dynamic stretching a lot because I do teach a lot of vinyasa. So vinyasa yoga is mostly dynamic stretching. The next one is static stretching. So if you like yin yoga, this one is for you, static stretching. This is where you hold the poses to really get deep into the tissue. So yin yoga, you hold the poses for normally between 2 to 7 minutes, and it gets really deep into the tissues. It relaxes all the fascia and everything around the muscles, which can help improve your flexibility. So you're going into it slowly and getting deeper and deeper. So it's very still. The next one is massage. So this is forcibly moving the muscles around to loosen them up. So you can do this through physical massage, like just using your thumb and kind of massaging into the tissues, or you can use things like acupuncture balls or foam rollers. The next one is strength training, because sometimes the muscles don't lengthen because they're not strong enough. So gaining strength around the muscles can really help. I just realized that bottom line is cut off as well, isn't it? I'll get better at my slides next time. This is the first time I've ever done a presentation with slides, so it's all new to me. I hope you're enjoying this. Okay, so understanding the different muscle groups. So there are 2 main reasons you need to understand the muscle groups. The first one is to keep your body safe. So we've just said about working on strength. This is very, very important when you're working on flexibility. I've explained this one quite a few times, but if you say take a hairband or an elastic band and you stretch, 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 what's going to happen? It's going to become weak. It's going to snap, right? So if we can work on our strength and keep it strong, you're going to stretch, it's going to come back to normal. Stretch, back to normal. It's not going to snap or break. So working on our strength is very, very important. So my rule of thumb for this is to work on the opposite muscle. So if you're lengthening your hamstrings, you're going to strengthen your quads. If you're working on your core, if you're lengthening your core, like opening up the front of the body, you're going to focus on strengthening the back of the body. If you're working on your low back, you're going to strengthen your core, right? You're doing the opposite. So that's the first one, is make sure that you are safe, very, very safe in your practice. The second one is to always work through the whole body. So if you have just been through my Get Closer to Your Toes challenge, you'll know this one. When we're working on, say, our forward fold, like in this picture, we are not just working on the hamstrings, we are working on everything around that. So this starts with the toes, the ankles, the calves, all of the back body is what we're lengthening, right? So you want to start from the bottom or the top and work your way around, so that we're lengthening all of those muscles. Because if you struggle with your forward fold and you think it's your hamstrings that are tight, maybe it's not. It could possibly could be, but maybe your calves are tight, and because your calves are tight, they're pulling on the hamstrings, right? So it's really important to work through the whole body so that you can see exactly where you specifically need to work on. Okay, so understanding the different muscle groups is just an amazing way to gain flexibility. Okay, so how do we adapt the practice to suit your personal needs? Everybody is different. We are all made differently. We have different bone types, different muscles. You know, nothing is going to be the same as somebody else. Okay, everything is completely different. So we need to really focus in on how we feel in our practice, which can be very hard to do, especially if you are brand new to yoga. One way that you can help is to use props. So I think I've got another slide on using props, so I'll go over that a little bit more detail in a second. But the main thing about using props is, you know, if you're not as flexible enough to touch the floor in a low lunge, say, grab some blocks, bring the floor up to you. Okay, make it easier for you. because you want to go to a slight stretch, which is my next point there. Go to a slight stretch, because once you're in a slight stretch, that's your body feeling this. You want to be able to relax into that muscle so that it can lengthen. If you are pushing yourself too much, your body starts tensing and it's not going to lengthen. So make sure you use props to help. Also add some strength training. Hopefully you've got that from the last 2 slides. We do need some strength with this. Figure out where you need to focus. So depending on what pose you're trying to do is going to depend on what muscles you need to work on, right? Listen to your mind and body. If your mind is saying, hell no, I cannot do this pose, get me out of it, loosen off, because again, your body's going to start tensing. If this is where you really have to listen to your mind, because maybe your mind is saying, oh, this is too hard, I don't want to do it. And then like, say you're in plank pose, oh, this is just too much, I need to come down. Do you need to come down? Or is that your body saying, oh, stuff this, it's too hard, I just don't want to do it? You know, you really have to try to make that difference, whether you can do it, your muscles can actually take a little bit more, or if your mind is just giving up. Don't let it just give up, okay? So it's that fine line between giving up and, you know, that is it, you've had enough, okay? So the main rule there is no pain as well. If you feel any kind of pain, that's always a big no. We don't want to ever feel pain in yoga. The last one is to use the space you have. So, you know, maybe you don't have a big area to do yoga. Maybe you have to do yoga on your bed. Maybe when you're stood cooking the dinner, you're just doing a few stretches holding onto the kitchen counter. Use the space that you have, because just getting in a few stretches a day is really going to make a difference to your body if you're normally not doing anything like that. Okay, so adapt it to suit your needs. Yoga is all about you. So what equipment do you need? You don't need anything, but these things will definitely help. So the first one is a yoga mat. Yoga mats are great to stop you slipping. So if you are doing yoga in like on carpet, you know, your hands and your feet could slip. If you're doing it on a hard floor, maybe you want a little bit of cushion to protect your knees, protect your joints. Okay, so yoga mats are great to use. The next thing is pillows or cushions. Now, you don't have to have pillows and cushions, but they are great, especially if you struggle to sit cross-legged or something like that. You can always put cushions underneath your bum to prop yourself up. You can always put them under your knees, especially if you're on a hard floor like me, to protect your knees. The next one is blanket. For the same reason, protect yourself. Get a blanket to put your knees on, to rest your head on, to cover yourself up in Shavasana. The next thing is blocks. As I said, blocks are really great for bringing the floor closer to you. So if you are inflexible, blocks are going to be your new best friend, because you can use them in most yoga poses and they are great. I still use them regularly now, especially for things like a half moon, where you're stood on one leg's coming out behind you, one hand's up and one hand's on the floor. Now, when I do half moon, I'm gonna just move the stuff back so that we can see that now. I'm trying to do this without the camera filming. Woo! I knew that was going to happen. Okay, let me just set the camera up so that you can see again, and I will show you what I mean about half moon. Okay, is that going to stay there or is that going to fall? It's going to stay there. Okay, so one foot on the floor, one hand comes down to the ground, one foot up, one hand up. Now look what's happening here. I've got long legs, so for me to reach the floor, my body has to tilt down. Okay, so that's not a great half moon pose. My body should be in line, so I need a block to hold me up a little bit closer. I'm gonna leave the camera there now. Okay, so blocks are absolutely great for that. Straps, again, like this picture and the picture in the other slide. Let's see if I can move that. They are really great for things like this. So if you're practicing back bends, you can use it to walk your hands down, especially because eventually, especially with a pose like this, like the aim is to grab my foot. So I'm working on using the strap. So every time I do it, I can get closer and closer and closer until I don't need the strap. So straps are really great for kind of pulling your body to its max without, so that you can do that the same kind of pose if you can't reach your toes. Okay, so they're really great to kind of give you the feel of that shape without actually being able to do it properly. The other thing is using walls. So, you know, I was wobbling then in half moon, right? So I could have come up, put my hand on a wall. Okay, use the walls around you. If balancing is a struggle, you know, balancing again comes with time and practice. So use the walls around you. Don't just fall over and you know, really struggle with the pose. Even if you just have one finger on the wall and you keep tapping it, use the walls. The other thing is other people. So if, say, I was doing this pose here, I could get my husband maybe to come behind me and push my knee up so that I can get a tiny bit closer, right? Ask people for help. People are always willing to help, especially if you're doing weird stuff like this in the front room. They're like, what on earth are you doing? The other thing is acupuncture balls and foam rollers. So again, for the kind of deep tissue massage. So they are really, really great to use. Okay, so another great thing about flexibility is we can gain flexibility just by using our breath. So we want to go slow. If we slow down the breath, the mind calms down, and this will send a signal around your body that you're safe. When you're safe, your muscles relax. When they relax, they lengthen. If you imagine now, wherever you're sat, just kind of trying to relax your legs, relaxing down, can you feel the muscles lengthening and then tense, like you're scared? You know, they shrink back up, right? And then relax. They lengthen. So we want to take our breath nice and slow to send that signal around the body that we are safe. It gets us out of our fight or flight mode, which we do not want. We want a really long exhale. So every time we exhale, that's when our brain knows we're safe, knows we're relaxed, right? If you think when you yawn or when you sigh, that is, you know, sending a signal that you're relaxed, that you're just, if you, in fact, even just do that now, you might even feel your body relaxing more. So a great rule with this is to use the 4 to 6 rule. So inhale for 4 breaths. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when you exhale, you count to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. And what this is going to do is help you to create that longer exhale without having to think about it, right? So if that's really hard to think about having a longer exhale, count. It's a great way to focus your mind on what you're doing as well and not let your mind wander off onto things. So the other thing is to actually notice the breath. So when we are doing difficult poses, especially like, you know, the one we just did on the last slide, dancer pose, if you're doing a difficult pose like that, and, you know, that is really difficult for you, your body isn't that flexible yet, you could hold your breath, right? Because it's a new thing. You're like, what on earth is happening? This is so hard. You start noticing your breath starts quickening. So we really need to focus in on our breath. This is why so many yoga teachers are always saying, focus in on your breath, take longer exhales, notice your chest rising and falling, you know, all this stuff, because we want to bring our attention onto our breath. So breath is definitely not talked about enough with flexibility. Seriously, just focusing on your breath in these poses is going to majorly increase your flexibility. So how often should we practice? Consistency is key. So even if that means you can't do long classes all the time, okay? Because doing a 60-minute class every single day is probably not going to be realistic for most of us. Well done you if you can. So shorter classes are better. If you do 10 minutes every single day, that is going to be better than 1 hour once a week. Consistency is how your body remembers these positions. Okay, so if you think about when you're trying to create a habit, you've got to do it for a very long time, right? To actually make that part of your routine, part of a habit. The same is happening with flexibility and with yoga. If you only do it once a week, I mean, once a week is good. Once a week is good. If that's all you can do, then that is fine. But if you can do it for longer, for more days, that is going to be a lot better. But if you're doing it, say, once a month, Honestly, there's not much point, because after a month, your body's not going to remember what it did. Okay. You'll remember, you'll be like, oh yeah, I did this last time, but your body's muscles would have shrunk back because they're not being used, right? They're not going to keep doing this movement. So shorter is better. This obviously goes with whatever your life's like. So, you know, if you have 5 kids, a full-time job, pets running around, you're gonna struggle with time. Well done you if you can get an hour in every day, because I know I can't do that with 1 kid. So, you know, you need to look at your life and just see where you can fit these things in. And this is what is great about short practices, because sometimes I'll think, oh no, I haven't had time to do yoga today, and I can do 5 minutes before bed. You know, I get to bed and I think, oh, I haven't done my yoga today. Oh, I'll just do a quick 5-minute practice. And do you know what happens half the time? I'll start to do a 5-minute practice and I think, do you know what? I think I could do a 10-minute, or maybe I'll just do this quick 15-minute one. And I end up doing longer. So, you know, just a quick 5 minutes before bed is also absolutely fine. If there is a certain part of your body that you are trying to gain flexibility in, the main rule is when you're stretching that area, stretch it for 45 seconds, minimum, maximum, just 45 seconds. Okay, so say I'm gonna do, what pose should we do? Splits, front splits, right? 1 leg in front, 1 leg behind. Okay, I'll need my hamstrings, my quads, and my psoas muscle, which is like the middle. So I'll do 45 minutes on my hamstrings, 45 seconds in a hamstring stretch, 45 seconds in a quad stretch, and 45 seconds in a psoas stretch. And if I did that every single night, I'd see a major difference in my front splits. Okay. I do have a video on that one, actually, a YouTube video one. So I might link that after. If anybody wants it, let me know in the comments and I'll send you the link. So just 45-second stretch is absolutely great. Then obviously it's make it a habit, not a chore. So like I said, 5 minutes before bed, make it a habit. Oh, I haven't done yoga today. I'm going to do a quick 5 minutes before bed. And I very highly doubt at the end of that 5 minutes, you're going to be like, oh, I wish I didn't just do that. You know, so make it a habit, just keep doing it. Okay, so now we're on to the free stretches that you should be doing every single day to help gain flexibility. And I'm going to give a few variations of these, so don't you worry. Yes, Trina, I will send you the link. I'm glad you're watching. Facebook isn't telling me that anyone's watching, so that's good. Awesome. Okay, so if you are here, say hi, so I know everyone's who's here with me. So these free stretches you should be doing daily. First one is puppy pose. So puppy pose, in fact, if I go on to the next slide, we've got puppy pose, we've got a low lunge, and we've got our squat, okay? So puppy pose works on your back bend because you're pushing your chest down to the ground and your shoulders, right? Because your shoulders are up above, okay? We're working on our shoulders. Again, 45 seconds, that's all you need, 45 seconds for this stretch. The next one is a low lunge. You're working your hamstrings from that front leg and your quad from the back leg. Okay, so this one I've put 90 seconds because obviously you'd want to do 45 each side. The next one is a squat. Now, squats are working on your ankles and your hips. So 45 seconds. So all in all, 3 minutes. 3 minutes. This might end up being 4 or 5 minutes, depending on if you take a break in between. But this is, you do this daily and you were going to see such a major difference in your flexibility. So let me just give you a few different examples of these stretches. And, you know, I'll be doing beginner examples as well because I'm in my jeans. So let me just move some things back so that you can see me. Hopefully my camera doesn't fall again. Stay, camera, stay. Move, move, move. I'm resting it on my yoga blocks. There we go. Okay. So puppy pose. Different ways that you can do puppy pose. If you cannot get onto the floor like that, don't worry. Grab a chair, on your knees, hands on there, rest down. Push your chest down in between your arms. Keep your bum above your knees and reach down. If you find puppy pose easy, push into your hands, lift your elbows off the ground. So if you're on the ground like this and look towards your fingers, okay, so there's different variations there. You can rest your head on the ground or you can look towards your fingers. If you'd like to make this a bit deeper, you can still use a prop. This is what I mean about beginner and advanced poses, right? Because I've just said the beginner pose is on the chair, yeah? So you can do that. But also you can do this in an advanced way. Put your elbows on it. I just realized that I'm really small. Let me stop sharing my screen. Right. So you can have your hands on it for beginners, or place your elbows on it, hands together, and drop your chest down. Okay, that's going to get it quite deep into the shoulders and into the chest area. So the other one was low lunge. So low lunge, I'm going to use my chair as my block, but you'd come into your low lunge and, you know, hold on to something. And the aim here is to sink your hips down, sink them down, because that's where you're going to get the stretch in the hamstring and the stretch in your quad muscle. Use a yoga mat or blankets because you don't want to damage your knees on the floor. If you would like to take the quad muscle a little bit deeper, which is what I'm working on right now, you would preferably use a blanket. I haven't got one around, so let's see how this goes. You come into your low lunge, and then you pick up that back knee, or back foot, sorry, and hold your foot. That's going to give you a deeper stretch down your quad muscle. So the last pose was the squat. Now, if you can't do a yogi squat, come up higher, that's fine. You can also preferably have something a little bit lower, so sit on the edge, knees wide, bring your feet in and lean forward like this. If you're feeling something like this, then that's fine, you can just stay here. Then you'd bring your prop further down. So then you might sit on something a bit lower, books, pile some books up, yoga blocks, until you can come all the way down. Okay, so a few different ways that you can do those poses. Okay, let me just get back to sharing my screen. If you have any questions on that, let me know. Okay, so overall, that should take 3 minutes, right? 45 seconds in puppy pose, 90 seconds in your lunge, 45 seconds each side, 45 seconds in your squat. That is working the main muscles. Sorry, I'm looking at myself there instead of the camera. That's going to work the main muscles in your body. That's going to really, really help your flexibility. Okay, so how do you put this into practice? You take these 3 poses and you repeat them daily using props and listening to your body. So everything we've been through today, right? It's not just doing these poses. It's use props to help you. It's focus on that breath. Make sure it's slow, make sure it's even, make sure you do that 4 to 6 breath. Then you make it a habit. So, you know, you can do some short yoga videos to help you stay consistent, or you can just do these 3 poses every single day and see a difference. The other thing is you can ask a yoga teacher for guidance. So do you need help with motivation? Maybe you think, yes, these 3 poses are great, I'm going to do these daily. And then, you know, you come off this training, you do it tonight, and then you forget and you don't do it. And you're like, oh yeah, I should have done those things. Oh, what poses were they again? And, you know, you lose it all. I know, because I'm talking from experience here. This is exactly what I used to do. So what pose are you trying to get? Is there a course on it somewhere that is more focused in helping you achieve your goals? If there is a specific pose or something that you're trying to get, let me know in the comments. I would love to know what ones you were trying to get. So this is where I'm going to introduce my Touch Your Toes course. If you haven't seen this already, this is a specialized yoga course to help you achieve flexibility, specifically for beginners or inflexible people who cannot touch their toes. Okay, so forward folding. If you're here and you can't reach your toes, this is for you. Okay, so we go through everything that we've gone over today. We go through the different parts of the body to really maximize the flexibility. So remember that picture before, go through the toes, the calves, the hamstrings, all the way up. We have a 25-day calendar to help you stay motivated, okay? Because motivation is the #1 reason, and consistency, that people do not continue the practice. And this is where I really struggled. So this is why I created shorter classes, okay? There are, I think, a few longer videos in there, but they are bonus videos. The main classes are between 30 and 15 minutes. So they're not super duper long, because I know we're all busy. So I've kept them as short as I could, but also to help really maximize your flexibility. So we have 3 videos focusing on the different parts of the body. So there's a whole 30-minute class on just the ankles and the calves. Okay, because sometimes, you know, as we said, we go through the parts of the body and it's actually your calf muscles that are tight. So once you do 30 minutes of that, check your forward fold again, see how far you've got, right? So if this seems good for you and you would like to join us, then you can head over onto lakorayoga.com, go into my courses, and there you'll find Touch the Toes. I'm going to put the link on the Facebook group in a second. You do also get 24/7 email support with that as well. So if there's any questions that come up, my email's in there, give me a message. I will get back to you as soon as I can. These are the results from previous students. So these ones, they weren't actually part of this course. This course is brand new. This is revamped. I did have this course and I've revamped it and put in some new information and better classes. So these are from challenges, from in-person classes, from anything that I've put online that people have sent me their before and after photos. So you can just see the amazing results here. Most of these were done within 5 days as well. So that is just incredible. But if you're watching this and you're thinking, but I can already touch my toes, but I still want to gain flexibility, then, you know, or maybe it's motivation that you need, right? Because as I said, motivation is normally the #1 reason people don't stick to these things. We have our membership. So inside our membership, Lakora Live, we have 2 weekly Zoom classes. These are only 30 minutes because, again, I know we haven't all got the time in the world here. And you get all the replays. And there's a private Facebook group. So you can always come in, post videos, ask questions in there. And I go live once a month with a Q&A of anything that's been asked, and to go over and basically have a little chat and keep you all motivated. So if you'd like to check out Lakora Live, these are done by Zoom. So it's 2 weekly Zoom classes. You don't have to be live because, as I said, all the replays are up. So what we do in Lakora Live is we tend to go for every month, we'll have 8 styles. Okay, so in January, we have these 8 styles. In February, we have these 8 styles. And that's forward folds, back bends. I'm going to try and remember them all now. Forward bend, back bend, twisting, side bending, hip opening, inversions, yin, because yin is just lovely, and a mix. So a mix of things. So you can see here in this image, we've got wheel pose down the bottom right corner there. That's our back bending. We've got figure 4 for our hip opening. Side crow was our arm balancing. Side lunge, which I think was a mix. Puppy pose, which was a back bending. What have we got in there? But you can basically see there, can't you? Forward fold, back bending. Yeah, so this screenshot was actually done just before Christmas. So we've actually changed it up since then. And now we have the yin in there as well. So the yin is like the slow, deep stretching. So that's Lakora Live. Again, the link is there. You just go on to, if you go onto lakorayoga.com, that's basically where everything is. So you can click on Lakora Live, join us for the monthly membership, or go into courses and learn how to touch your toes. And that's the end of it. So what is it going to be? Are you going to stay stuck trying to gain flexibility and keep losing motivation? Again, speaking from experience, it makes me laugh because looking back now, like I can see all the things that I did wrong. And this is what I'm helping you guys with now, because I don't want you to be there. I don't want you trying for years to touch your toes when you can do it in 25 days. All right, I've put all this information into one course, so it's nice and easy. You can get help by joining a live community if motivation is the problem. So again, that's Lakora Live, but the choice is yours. Imagine where you could be a month from now. So if you would like to work with me a little bit further, depending on what your needs are, head on over to lakorayoga.com. And I look forward to working with you. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen share because that is all of that. I've just noticed the comment. So yeah, trying to do the splits. Perfect. I'm going to put a video in there. We are going to have a new splits course coming very, very soon. So keep an eye out for that. Creating the videos now. So they will be up ASAP. I'm on holiday in April. I'm hoping to get it up before then. It just depends on timing. You know what it's like having kids. Suddenly they get ill, they're home from school, you get school strikes and the kids are home and there's no time to record. So I am trying my best to get that up, but I will drop a link for the splits class because again, when you're doing front splits, one leg front and one leg back, the main muscles are the hamstrings, the quads and the psoas muscle. So for those three, I'll just quickly do them now, shall I? For those three, you want hamstring stretch. The best hamstring stretch for this, to do it like simple and easy, this is what I used to do before bed. Preferably you want something a bit higher. Put your leg on it, hips straight, fold forward. Okay, nice stretch all down the hamstring. 45 seconds each side, okay, for your hamstrings. Then you want your quad stretch. So for your quad stretch, either low lunge or the low lunge with your knee bent and your foot behind, right? So this one. Knee up or foot up. And then sink into your hips. Makes it a lot deeper when you sink into your hips. And then the other one is the psoas muscle. So when we're working on that, there's a few different ways, but the best one is to actually just get into your splits. But the only way we're going to work into the psoas is if we keep our torso straight. So you come in, I'm not going to be able to do the splits in my jeans, but not that I can do the splits anyway. So you come in, this is as low as I'm going because I haven't warmed up, and you keep your torso upright. So you hold onto a wall, hold onto blocks, keep your torso upright. If you're leaning forward, you're going to be getting more into that hamstring, less into the quad and less into your psoas. Okay, so keep your torso upright. And again, then it will be everything that we have gone over today. So the breath, using the props and everything else we've said, the different kind of muscle groups and stuff, but those are the three main ones. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. If you do have any more questions, leave a comment and let me know. And I look forward to answering them all and to see some of you inside either Touch Your Toes or the membership. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.